3 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today we talk to Dr. Bruce Lipton about unleashing the power of our mind. My name is Stephanie Dodier, and I'm a clinical nutritionist. At 35, I was strapped with severe anxiety, panic attack, and obesity, and my health completely collapsed. I needed solution, and the journey began. Each episode of the Beyond the Food Show, we bring you an expert or a message to help you achieve your health goal, unlock your self-confidence, and live a better life. This episode of the Beyond the Food Show is brought to you by Crush Your Craving program. This is the place where I have packed everything that I did to transform my life. This is my program. This is my group coaching program. This is where you're going to find all the tools, all the concept I had to learn in one place. It's a 6 weeks e-course online with 19 teaching videos, dozens of handouts and guides, and a weekly coaching call and Q&A with me. You're going to learn how to stop your sugar craving, how to reverse your emotional eating to benefit you and achieve the life of your dream. We learn the concept of awareness, which is going to lead you to more mindful eating and stopping those behavior of overeating, which leads to weight gain. We're going to learn how to mindfully eat. We are going to learn how to journal to help ourselves achieve our goal. And most importantly, we're going to learn to detox both physically, emotionally as well. And I want to throw in a little bit of knowledge on supplementation as well. This is built around a 30-day challenge that will help you to crush your sugar craving once and for all and learn to eat for the rest of your life and customize your diet for what you and your body feels the best in. We're talking about total health here. We're talking about digestion. You're going to learn about hormonal health, blood sugar, food sensitivity, and you're going to have access to me daily within our Crush Your Craving community so I can answer all your questions along the way. You're going to have lifetime access to the material and your satisfaction is guaranteed. So if this sounds right for you and you are ready to feel secure and confident and have the skills you need to change your relationship to food and to yourself permanently for the rest of your life, then come and join us. And you can register for our waiting list. The doors are about to open and special pricing will be given to people on the wait list first. And we're about half full already on the waiting list because there is a maximum amount of client that can access this program. So join us at stephaniedodier.com/crushyourcraving and register on the waiting list. Now, today's episode of the podcast, we're talking to Dr. Bruce Lipton about how we can unleash the power of our mind, change our core belief, and finally make the change that we want in our life. For those of you that are familiar, we're going to talk about the subconscious mind. But Dr. Lipton is going to teach us all of that in that next hour. This interview is a dream for me because I've been following Dr. Lipton with his research and his teaching and applying them in my own life. And that is part of the reason why I was able to change my life as I changed my core belief that were making me repeat the same pattern on and on and on because of his teaching. So I have been waiting 6 months to get this interview with Dr. Lipton. This is a special gift that I'm giving you that has the potential truly to change your life for the better. Now, we've just ended the Crave Cure series. And for those of you who may be the first time listening to us, we just did for the month of May 2017 an entire series on craving, food craving, sugar craving, emotional eating. We looked at 10 different root causes of those craving. And now we're moving into how to make those changes that we need to in our life. So if you want to access that series, go to the show note at stephaniedodier.com/063 and you will have the link for the Crave Cure series. And this episode with Dr. Lipton is the perfect follow-up to this series so you can chase those behavior that you know cause you to crave. Are you ready? Let's do this. Our guest today is a pioneer in the new biology and is an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit. A cell biologist by training, Bruce was on the faculty of University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and later performed groundbreaking stem cells research at Stanford University. He is the best-selling author of The Biology of Belief and received 2009 prestigious Gaio Peace Award in honor of his scientific contribution to the world. Armani, welcome to the show, Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Stephanie, I'm so happy to be here with you and with all the wonderful people in this audience because we have some very exciting information that is self-empowering. So let's share it.
Absolutely. And for the crowd to understand, I actually came in contact with Dr. Lipton in school at the Institute of Holistic Nutrition in the Psychology of Disease. And his book, The Biology of Belief, changed my life. It was a follow-up to a book that I read, Dr. Lipton, from Dr. Carolyn Myss, The Anatomy of the Spirit.
Yes.
And you came right after this, and it was like holding hand, and it literally changed my outlook on life. So thank you very much for writing this book.
Well, I have to say that I'm a student of this as much as anybody else is a student of it. And the information that I saw in the research changed my life so much that I actually had to leave the medical school at the University of Wisconsin because my research conflicted with the data I was teaching medical students. At that time, we were teaching medical students the fact that genes control our lives. It was a belief called genetic determinism. That belief basically says the genes turn on and off and regulate their activity, and you have no control over that. So if you have a cancer gene, which they don't exist, but if you had a cancer gene, then the idea is that cancer would happen irregardless of what you did. It would be the genes that were causing that. This belief in genetic determinism is unfortunately a belief that turns people into victims, meaning if genes control your life and you don't control the genes, then all of a sudden your life is not in your control anymore. It's based on your heredity. So you look at your family and you go, oh my God, there's Alzheimer's, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. And it's like, oh, I received the genes for that. And they're going to turn on and off regardless of what I do. So I am a victim of my heredity. That's the belief. And when we teach victimization, what we're teaching is powerless. People are powerless over their own lives. A disease happens to you, you happen to be the victim. That's it. My research, in contrast, revealed a completely different understanding about genetics, okay?
Yeah.
It actually, the research I did in 1970 was a precursor of a new science that was actually established in 1990. So I was like 20 years ahead of the curve, and the new science is called epigenetics. So just to get it off the ground, let's define the difference.
Yes, please.
When you say genetics, or specifically genetic control, what we're saying is control by genes, okay? And that's with the belief where we are victims of our heredity. The genes are going to control us, period, okay? And I say, well, what's the new science called? It's called epigenetics. And I go, well, it sounds exactly the same, epigenetics. I go, oh, yeah, but it's a revolution. It's a revolution for this very simple reason. Epi means above. So when I say genetic control, old story, that means control by genes. New story, epigenetic control. I go, epi means above, so epigenetic control literally means control above the genes. And all of a sudden I said, well, what is it that is above the genes and controlling genes? I go, well, the environment is primary in influencing genetic activity. And more importantly, when it comes especially to higher organisms like humans, our perception of the environment is primary. So I say, well, why is that relevant? I say, well, if the environment and perception control evolution and genetics, well, we're the ones that can determine the environment. We're the ones that determine our perceptions. And all of a sudden I say, well, if I change my perceptions or I change my environment, then I'm changing my genetic activity. And all of a sudden it says, oh, I'm in control of that. So I'm not a victim of my genetics. I'm a master of my genetics. Changing my belief about life changes my genetics. So basically, does belief play a role? Well, we've known that for a couple hundred years, in a sense of something called the placebo effect. The placebo effect is what? You have a disease. I say I have this brand new medicine. It's going to be the absolute best. It's colored purple. If you notice, that's the highest quality. And I'm convincing you what? That this pill I'm going to give you is going to heal you. You take the pills, you get well, and then you find out there was just sugar pill. And so then all of a sudden it comes down to a very simple point. I said, well, then where did the healing come from? Because obviously a sugar pill didn't do healing. I said, no, it was the perception or the belief that resulted in healing, not the pill. That was blank. It was sugar. And everybody goes, oh, okay, placebo effect. I've heard of that. And I go, yeah, but that is a demonstration of how our mind and our perceptions inevitably control our genetics and our biology. Okay. So this becomes totally important because rather than perceiving yourself as a victim, and it is based on our perception, all I have to say is, what if I have a negative perception? Because we've only talked about positive perception, placebo. Oh, this is going to heal me. And I get healed. I go, what about negative perception? I go, this is the biggest problem in civilization. And that is we have discounted negative perception. Says, oh, well, that's just a negative belief. I go, no. Perception, be it positive or negative, is what controls genes. Positive perceptions responsible for what is called placebo effect can heal you just because you believe it. The negative belief is equally powerful in controlling genetics. But rather than a negative belief promoting health, a negative belief can create any disease and even death. And all of a sudden I say, then we better be cautious of our negative beliefs. I go, more than cautious, you better recognize your negative beliefs are instrumental in selecting your genetic activity. And that if you want to change your genetic activity, you then don't look at physically changing it. Oh, let me go to a doctor and get my genes changed. I go, no, that's not how you change genes. You change genes by changing your perception, your belief, and your attitude. And I say, how powerful is that perception? Just to give a simple example, I say, I could hypnotize a person, and I'm going to say, I'm going to touch you with a burning cigarette. And I take my finger and I just touch them with my finger. But in their hypnotic state, they think, oh, that's a burning cigarette. And I go, and what was the consequence? I say, within a couple of minutes, most people will end up with a blister. I said, how did the blister happen? I didn't burn you with my finger. I said, no. The belief of the mind translated the finger into a cigarette. The awareness of the system is if a cigarette touches you, it's going to burn you. And so the belief says, oh, I just got a burn where Bruce touched me. And it creates a burn response. I said, there was no real burning. It was perception. Perception says, if I believe I can walk across the hot coals, I'll be able to do it. But if I get in the middle of my walk and just doubt for a fraction of a second, at that instant, I will get burned. So basically it says the power of this belief is so profoundly important because it shapes our lives. And this is why when we look at issues in our life, we have had a tendency over the years, conventional medicine, oh, there's something wrong with your biology, then there's something wrong with your genetics or your biochemistry, and that drugs and chemistry and is going to fix this thing. And it goes, oh my God, this is completely wrong. The issue is, here's a simple fact, and I'll stop and give a chance to get into a different discussion, but here's a simple fact. Less than 1% of disease is due to genetics. I said, well, what does that mean? I go, 90+% of disease has nothing to do with genetics. It has to do with perception and lifestyle, beliefs. And I say, yeah, but isn't it great? Because those are the things I can change. I can't change my genes, but I can change my perceptions and beliefs. I go, well, that's the controlling factor. So that's all you need to understand is how has my attitude and perceptions toward life affected my biology? And then you look in the mirror.
Absolutely. And that's what's called empowered health, or being an empowered patient is actually knowing what you just spend the last 7 or 8 minutes explaining to the listener, that we can affect our health. We can affect, for us here, we talk a lot about emotional eating and craving and dieting. Yeah. We're all in control of that. We don't have to be a victim of the diet industry and all of that.
No, when you say we're in control of that, this is the missing piece of the code that says, how can I be in control of that? And if you don't
Yes.
understand how you're in control of that, then you still have to look at it. Things happen to me. And I'm saying, no, you are creating things. And this becomes something about personal responsibility. Now, before we go on, I want to make this very clear because this is where people sort of walk off the track after I start talking about the fact we are personally responsible for everything in our lives. And then people look at their life and they look at a disease or they look at a weight issue and say, it's not my fault. I didn't do this. And I go, the mind is creating this, number one. But number two, and this is the big difference, there's a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And when we say the mind, I say, no, there's two minds.
Yes.
There's not the mind, there's two. Point. The two minds have different functions and they learn in different ways. And that's where the confusion comes in. Because I say to my conscious mind, well, I want to be healthy. And then I end up being
Absolutely.
sick. I go, well, didn't I just say I wanted to be healthy? How did I get to be sick? My perception is health. I go, if your conscious mind was running the system, then you would be able to make all the changes you're talking about. But science has recognized that 95% of our life is not coming from the conscious mind, the creative mind, the one that's connected to your personal identity. Your spirituality is associated with the conscious mind, which is a part of brain tissue just behind your forehead. It's specifically the prefrontal cortex is where this consciousness arises from. I go, this is the latest evolution of the brain. I say, what was there before the prefrontal cortex? I say, the rest of the brain, 90%. I go, yeah, but that was called subconscious. And I say, what's the difference? The subconscious mind is a habit mind. It learns habits. People give it a lot of negative. Oh, the subconscious mind's evil. I go, no. Subconscious mind is a recording device, like an old-fashioned, like a tape recorder. I say, if I had a tape recorder in my hand, I say, is this an evil machine? It's like, no, it's just a recorder. I go, it's the programs that you record that make the difference between positive and negative life. And all of a sudden, so don't blame the subconscious. The subconscious is miraculous. I'll give you a simple example. When did you learn how to walk? Before 2? I go, did you ever have to relearn how to walk? I go, no, why? Because at that early age, once I learned how to walk, it's a habit. I never have to relearn it again. So I say, oh, wow, that's really great. Because if I had to relearn how to walk every day, I'd never have a life because I spent all day just learning how to walk and then finally learn how to walk and then go to bed, wake up and go, how do I walk? Start all over again. I say, no. Once you learn, it's a habit and it operates unconsciously, subconsciously. Okay. So what I'm going to continue when we get on to this discussion, and I start to talk about that we are personally responsible for the characters of our life. Initially, when people hear that, they go, I'm responsible for my cancer. I'm responsible for my heart attack. I'm responsible for my weight issue. I go, yes. And then immediately people go, I can't accept that responsibility because it's associated with, and these are very critical words, shame, guilt, blame, victim. Okay, and I say, people invoke this. As soon as I say we're personally responsible, then the idea of shame, guilt, blame, victim comes in and go, no, I can't accept that I'm responsible.
Punishment.
And I go, let me clear this up because this is the most important part to make the next step, and that is this. Those words, very heavy weighted words, blame, shame, victim, guilt. I go, you have to understand what the meaning of those words are. And they're based on this. The meaning is, I know how to do something, and regardless of my knowledge of how it works, I choose to do something different. I know how to stay healthy, but I choose to eat at McDonald's. I go, okay. And I go, well, if you know how to do something and you knowingly choose not to do it, then I would use the words blame, guilt, victim. You're guilty of eating at McDonald's because you know better. But then this is the part that I want people to understand. The information that we're going to talk about is not common knowledge. So all of a sudden I say, we are creating this, but you don't know it. And if you don't know it, then I cannot use the words you are guilty. You should be shamed. You are blamed. Why? You didn't know how to do it, and nobody told you. And therefore your life is going without knowledge, and then you just do things. But then I say, now today with you, Stephanie, we're going to talk about some new knowledge. And I'm going to go, yeah. Once you understand the new knowledge, You're not allowed to go back and say, I didn't know what was going on. If I give you the new knowledge and you decide not to pay attention to new knowledge, well, then that's your issue. But if you have no knowledge, how can you be blamed for something? How can you have shame for something you didn't even know there was shame associated with it? Nobody told me. So how do I know? So this is an important point in our presentation, you and I, is that for the audience to recognize this, if you don't understand this new science, then you cannot be guilty or blamed for the consequences of what happened if you had no awareness.
Absolutely.
You know, I say, hey, Stephanie, take my car and drive to town. And you get in the car and say, oh, Bruce, it's a standard shift. I don't know how to drive. And I say, I don't care. Just take the car and go to town. And you bucking down the street and you get to town and it breaks and you call me on the phone. You say, Bruce, the car's not working anymore. And I go, well, it's your fault. You're to blame. You're guilty. And it's like, how can that be? You already told me you didn't know how to drive. And I said, go ahead and drive. It's my fault because I didn't tell you. So issues of disease, issues as basic as overweight are due to processes and mechanisms that up to now you had no awareness of. And therefore, the expression of these characteristics, I can't blame you for it. Why? You didn't even know how it happened.
Absolutely. And that's what's so critical for all the listener to understand is the information and the science that Dr. Lipton is sharing with you is not common knowledge. It's not what we're hearing on social media or on television, because conventional medicine is what we're hearing. And it's about being a victim. It's about being dependent of medicine, dependent of diet pills and diets. And what the whole podcast is about going beyond the food. It's about going where Bruce is teaching us right now. So subconscious and conscious mind is a basic knowledge that will layer your ability to change your relationship to food. Now I want to get into the subconscious mind and how do we fill up our subconscious mind? Where does it come from, the information that's there?
Okay. The subconscious mind, I said, is primarily a habit mind, habitual behavior, whatever it is, walking, swimming, driving a car. Once you learn how to do something, it becomes a pattern. You don't have to relearn it again. So God bless the subconscious. It allows me not to have to learn every day everything I already once learned. I could repeat it. So I say, oh, so the habits that we acquire are in the subconscious. And I say, well, okay, and the difference between the two, subconscious is habit. Conscious is creative, meaning if you're operating from the conscious mind, you say, what do you want? What's your desire? What's your wish? And I go, oh, this is a character of the conscious mind. So a person looks in the mirror and says, oh my God, I want to lose weight. I go, where'd that decision come from? Not from the habit mind. The habit mind's not creative or thinking. It just plays the program. So the idea is I say, oh, you want to lose weight? Oh, that's a creative wish and a creative desire. And that comes from the conscious mind. So I say, oh, cool. So as long as I'm in the conscious mind, I have control. But I say, what is the subconscious role? I say, the subconscious is like an autopilot. It can manage everything I've ever learned how to do. Walk, talk, drive a car, ride a bicycle, cook a dinner. Once I've learned how to do it, I don't have to think about it. It's just push the button. It's a program. Okay, let's walk. Push the button. I don't even have to say let's walk. I just have to think I want to go over there. And automatically it makes it work. So I say, subconscious is automatic. It's an autopilot. And I say, where did the programs come from? I said, well, there are two sources of programs from the basis of the subconscious. One is experience. How did I learn how to walk? I had to damn well get up on my legs and move them and learn how to do the balance. So I learned from experience. And I go, yes, but there are other things that we learn that we have no personal experience with. I say, what? Well, attitudes, behaviors, how we deal with somebody. Let's say bigotry. You are a person born a bigot. A person acquires bigotry. I say, how do they acquire it? I say, they observe the family and the community in which they live. And I say, why should they do this? And here's the fundamental reason. With genetics, I can program a body and I can program the mechanisms, but I can't program how you're going to use it. Why? Because life changes from day to day. Evolution occurs. Civilization never stays the same. So I can't make our behaviors genetically. Automatically, we're programmed with behaviors. I go, no, why? Because I don't know what the future is going to require. So I have to leave it open for learning. Okay? So the idea is then genetics can provide me with a physical body and a mechanism and a machine as a robotic device. And my conscious mind is the pilot. It says, I want to go here, I want to do this, and I drive the vehicle, okay? As the pilot, if I repeat a lot of things and I say, well, God, I don't have to relearn that. I know how to walk now, so I'm just going to intend. I'm going to go over there. Automatically, the subconscious is going to do the walking. And I go, oh, so we use the habit mind as an autopilot to cover things that we're not focusing on. And I say, well, where did the programs come from? I say, the basic programs are, why do I have a habit mind? The answer is this. Genetically, I'm a machine, prepared for any time in the history of planet Earth. I am here. Genetically, I can make a machine and move through the planet. But as civilization evolves, there are behaviors that are necessary to become a member of a family, to become a member of a community. These are rules. I said, where do I learn the rules? I said, well, you can give an infant a giant book with thousands of rules of how to be a functional member of a family and how to be a functional member of a community. I say, an infant can't read a book. So how's the infant going to learn thousands of rules? I say, the first 7 years, and this is critical for everyone out there, the first 7 years of your life, your brain is operating at a frequency measured by EEG, electroencephalograph, a frequency called theta. I say, what is the character of theta? I say, well, theta has a character of imagination. I said, oh, yeah, kids before 7 are living in a world of imagination and real world. So a child is riding a broom. It's a horse. To the child, it's a horse. It doesn't even look like a broom anymore. Riding on that broom changes it into a horse. The mother says to the child, give me the broom. The child's looking at the mother, what broom? This is a horse. Because in the mind of imagination, that broom is now a horse. So that's theta. But let me also say this. During that first 7 years of theta, theta is hypnosis. Basically it says, how do I learn behavior? In the first 7 years, observe other people and copy their behavior. So we are programmed first to observe the mother and the father and download how they respond to life. Every stimulus and response that you observe them do is like, hypnosis. This is how my dad responded. This is how my mom responded to these stimuli. And I learned that. I learned it without even thinking. Conscious mind doesn't even work until after age 7 as a predominant force. So everything before age 7 is being downloaded without your consciousness reviewing it. So it says, well, am I downloading good things or bad things? I say, conscious has no reviews. You just download everything, good things and bad things. You have no conscious review. So I say, so I observe my parents' behavior, my siblings' behavior, and the behavior of my community. And these are going not through consciousness, but straight into subconscious hypnosis. And I say, okay, fine. After age 7, I kick in the second part of the mind called consciousness, which is creative and carries wishes, desires, aspirations. I say, now that I have a database of behavior, which I downloaded for 7 years, my consciousness can go to that database and engage the behaviors. Okay? So my consciousness will essentially work off of my beliefs, which are the behaviors. Well, the problem is this. My consciousness is also capable of thinking. What does that mean? I go, wait, Stephanie, quick question. What are you doing at Monday at 2 o'clock?
Look at my schedule. There's
Where's
an
your
interview.
schedule? Is it in your head?
In the computer.
Yeah, but it could be in your head. Okay?
Absolutely.
So I ask you, what are you doing at that time? First thing is this, consciousness is not looking out here. The answer is not here. Consciousness goes inside and goes, what was it I'm doing? And you review.
Yes.
I say, but wait, the moment the consciousness went inside, it's not paying attention to what's happening outside. I say, yeah, but if I'm driving the car and I have a thought, my consciousness is no longer driving the car. Yeah. Am I going to crash? And I go, no, look, many of us have driven a long time and say, you get involved with a conversation with somebody, or you're so much in thought in your head that you're driving, and then all of a sudden it dawns on you, you haven't paid attention to the road for the last 5 minutes.
Consciously.
I go, yeah, because your consciousness was engaged with thinking. I say, yeah, but the car has been driving for 5 minutes. I say, who drove the car? I go, the subconscious. It knows how to drive the car. It's a habit. You know, and it's 1,000,000 times more powerful a computer than the conscious mind. So, in fact, if you're about to go into an accident and your car is skidding, guess what? You shut off consciousness and then go to immediate subconscious response because it's fast, super fast, no thinking, boom. Consciousness. I can imagine you're driving and the car goes out of control and you're in control of just conscious mind. This is what it'd be like.
Oh.
Oh, I say, oh, well, you're in trouble now. Okay. I say, what happens when the moment you're driving it goes out of control? Boom, automatic, hitting the brakes and turning the wheel, not thinking. So it's very fast. Okay. And so I say, okay, here's the point. You control your life with your mind. There are two parts to the mind. The conscious part is you spiritually, your uniqueness. That's conscious. And the subconscious is just a database of programs. There's nobody in there. It's just a database of programs. And I say, when we're operating from the conscious mind, we have our hands on the wheel. This is what I want. I want to have this weight. I go, great. That's my creative wish and my desire. And then I go, and how much of the time, and this is the factor, how much of the time does an average person spend thinking? And I say, why? Because if they're thinking, by definition, the autopilot is taken over.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is 95% of the day you are operating from habit. And conscious mind is engaged in thought. I say, yeah, and here's the problem. When the habit is taking it over, you as an entity don't even see the behavior. I say, why not? I said, because your conscious mind was not focusing on your behavior. It was focusing on your thought. What am I doing on Tuesday? I'm not looking at my feet moving or my car driving. I'm inside. So I go, then the problem is when you defer to the autopilot, you're deferring because conscious mind is preoccupied. And when the autopilot is playing the habit program, you're the one that doesn't see it because your conscious mind is engaged. So I'll give a simple example. Go back to the car. We know how to drive a car. We've been driving a long time. I have a passenger in the car. We get into a discussion. We're talking and talking and talking. And then, as I said, I look out the window and for a moment I said, oh my God, I haven't paid attention to the road for the last 5 minutes. Here's the critical part. I ask, well, what did you talk about during the discussion? I go, oh, we talked about this and this and this and this. I go, then I ask, and tell me what happened on the road during that 5 minutes. And you go, I don't know. I was involved in the discussion. I go, that's the point. When the conscious mind's engaged and the subconscious kicks in, the behavior played by the subconscious is not observed by the conscious because it's busy. So then when I give my lectures, and this is fundamentally the most profound thing right here, I give people a story and I say, perhaps when you were growing up, you were close to a friend and you knew your friend's behavior very, very well. And I say, and you also knew your friend's parent. And one day you recognize that your friend has the exact same behavior as the parent. And you get so excited. You can't wait to say, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. Bill's the first one to go ballistic. How the hell can you compare me to my dad? And everyone in the audience laughs. I go, because it's a familiar experience. I go, but it's the most profound lesson. And what is the lesson? The answer is this. Everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill. The reason why is he got the behavior from observing his father in the first 7 years. He plays that behavior only when his conscious mind is previously engaged, and he pulls up that behavior. He's playing his father's behavior, but simultaneously he's not observing it because he's busy consciously doing something else. So Bill gets upset that people say you're like your dad because he doesn't see he's like his dad.
Absolutely.
But occasionally, I just want to add this because the fun part is occasionally, all of a sudden we get a glimpse. Oh my God, I was just acting like my mom. Oh,
oh my God.
And that only happens occasionally. But the fact is, it's happening 95% of the day. Okay.
And I want to add to this. We've talked a lot about behavior. And for the ladies, that's when you end up in front of the fridge, not knowing how you got in front of the fridge to look in front of the fridge. That's subconscious behavior. That's a great example for us to look at. But I want to talk about belief because the book, The Biology of Belief, our belief are also subconsciously and primarily learned in our youth. Am I correct
Absolutely.
to say this?
The programs we acquire of how to deal with life, by definition, are beliefs. This is how you do it. Oh, okay. It's a belief. This is how I get dressed. I put my socks on before I put my shoes on. You know, it's more than a belief because in some level it's a practical reality too, but it's still a belief. You had to learn that. You didn't come with that knowledge, so you had to learn it. So many of our beliefs are very practical and real, and many of our beliefs are made up. I gave the example of bigotry. Bigotry is not a genetic inherited process. Bigotry is a belief system. A child can learn bigotry. Let's say the parents, we don't like these people. The kid's sitting in there recording, I don't like these people. The kid doesn't even know these people. He's never even seen one of these people. But guess what? The download is, if I ever see one of these people, I know I don't like them. I go, you never even met these people. I go, yeah, but your program will automatically do that. And it's not you, it's the program, okay? So when we have programs, and this is the part, so let's get to the weight issue. The weight issue is not a conscious-driven process. Yeah, the weight issue is subconscious. I go, so what does weight have to do with it? And I go, excess weight means extra thickness between you and the environment. What do you mean extra thickness? I say, if the environment is irritated, if the environment is threatening, an organism, a mouse, a bacterium, a snail, a human, in threat will engage protection, okay? A thicker body is a sociological way of protection, meaning if I am thick, people won't bother me, they'll bother the thin ones. So if I'm going to protect myself, I don't want to be attractive, because if I'm attractive, I draw them to me. If I'm unattractive, they'll go away. This is not conscious mind going, well, Bruce, how are you going to deal with this? It's like, no, this is subconscious recognizing people are not attracted to the heavier weight person as they are to the thinner weight. The brain goes, well, if I don't want people to bother me, then if I get thicker, they won't. So the brain has a great resolution, but that's subconscious, okay? So I say, during the developmental 7 years primarily, when we find conflict in our world that is personal and confronts you, the decision of the mechanism is protection. I say protection, walling off. I say, how do you wall off? I say, well, one of the ways of walling off is if I am not attractive, I will not attract people. Well, that's pretty logical. So I go, so the subconscious sets a weight and says, if I am this big, I will be safe. Okay? And I go, well, this is a habit in the subconscious. It's not you. You're the conscious mind. That's just a program. I say, now the conscious mind looks in the mirror and goes, I don't like that weight. I go, fine. It's a creative mind. It's got wishes and desires. You want to change it? That's your wish and your desire. I go, okay, how much of the day is the conscious mind with the wish and desire to lose weight operating? I say 5%. I say then, what about the other 95? I say, subconscious controlling it. I say, what's the subconscious program? It's got a weight fixed. It's fixed. It says, this weight protects me. So I say, now we have conflict. What's the conflict? Conscious mind says, I want to be thin. Subconscious mind says, no, I want to be fat. I say, who's going to win? I say, well, 95% for subconscious, 5% for conscious. Do the math. Obviously, there's trouble. But I say, if you stay conscious, you can work on this. Okay, consciously, I'm on that diet. Man, every day I'm conscious. I'm conscious on this diet. I go, really, really cool. And maybe it even works. Maybe you even lose some weight. And then you feel satisfied. Okay, I'm losing weight. It's really cool. Guess what? The conscious mind lets go of that. And I say, as soon as the conscious mind let go, who's in charge? Subconscious. And the subconscious says, you're too thin. Go to the refrigerator. Get something out of there. Robotically, you walk up to the refrigerator. You grab this piece of cake. And right in the middle of eating the cake, all of a sudden your conscious mind kicks in and goes, what the hell am I doing? That's the conflict, because I say conscious mind might be aware of it, but guess what? Anytime the conscious mind's not paying attention, 95% of the day, the program is a fixed weight. So the conscious mind can dedicate dietary process, but the moment the conscious mind lets go of it, the subconscious mind will automatically take you back to the preset. So here's the point. You want to lose weight. Yes, of course you need the initiation of a conscious decision, which is creative, to say this is what I want. But now it says, well, now that I have that intention, does my system support this intention? I go, your conscious mind does. But your subconscious happened to be running the show and 1,000,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind, has a completely different program. So you struggle and you struggle, but who are you struggling against? Not your genes. Yeah. No, not the environment. You're struggling against an internal program with conflict. And the conflict is the stress provider. And the stress of the failure of, I am so intending to lose weight. And I go, you're so intending. But is your subconscious intending? No? Well, then guess what? You are going to be stressed from here on in, because every moment of the 95% when that subconscious is running, its job is bring me back to the safe weight. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
How do we change? Once we've recognized, because now you've provided the information for people to be in power of understanding what goes on in their head. Now, how do we go about changing that recorded tape that we have in our subconscious mind?
Good question.
That's the key.
That's the key question, and it's a great question, and I have to give you the why it's been difficult, okay?
Go for it.
Because first of all, I said there are two minds, habit mind, subconscious, and creative mind, conscious. But I also said they learn in different ways. I said, well, how do they learn? I say, the conscious mind is creative. It can learn in any number of ways. Watching this telecast right here, reading a book, going to a lecture. You can just go, aha, I got a new idea. And the conscious mind can change. It's creative. The subconscious mind is habit. Habit doesn't like to change. If you make a habit, I learned how to walk when I was 1.5. I don't want it to change. I've been doing pretty good for 70 years now. I don't want it to change. And habits have resistance to change, because then it wouldn't be a habit. So I say, oh, well, the conscious mind creative can learn in any number of different ways. Then I say, well, what about the habit mind? I say, well, there are 4 ways to change the subconscious mind. One of them you have no control over, so I'm going to reduce it right away. And I'll say one of the ways that changes and you have no control over is, let's say you go to a doctor, you get a diagnosis of a terminal illness. That moment of that physical shock and coming into your mind going, oh my God, I'm going to die, is an opening to say, I don't want my life this way anymore. Boom. I can change it right there. That's trauma and shock, but that's a capable way of doing it. But I can't say, okay, listen, at 11 o'clock today, Stephanie, I want you to shock yourself and change your mind. You can't do it that way. So I leave that out because that happens without your control, more or less, okay? But there are 3 ways that you can control. Yeah. Number 1 is this. How did the subconscious mind learn in the first place? The first 7 years, it was predominantly in theta, which is hypnosis. And hypnosis bypasses consciousness, and the information goes straight into the subconscious. So I say, if I can do hypnosis, I could change. I say, do I have to go to see a hypnotherapist? I go, no, you don't. You know why? Every night when you go to bed, as your brain is calming down from the busyness of the day, which is a high vibration called beta, as you start to calm down at home after dinner, you're relaxing, the vibrations goes lower called alpha, which is calm consciousness. But just as you're tipping off, leaving consciousness and going into sleep, at that one moment, you switch from alpha to a lower vibration, theta. So the moment you're sleeping, the moment the conscious mind checks out, that moment, the brain is now in theta. So I say, well, that's hypnosis. I say, what can you do about it? I go, oh, here's what you can do about it. Put a pair of earphones on. As you go to bed, a program is playing, a program of, let's say, weight loss program. I say, relevance. The conscious mind at some moment disconnects because it finally passed out of alpha, which is awake, goes into theta, where the conscious mind is not awake anymore. So just as you're going off to sleep, the subconscious mind is awake, but the conscious mind is not. So whatever is coming through the earphones at that moment, whatever comes through the earphones at that moment is not going into the conscious mind. It's being downloaded into the subconscious mind, okay? So it becomes really relevant for us to understand that if I want to hypnotize myself, I don't have to go see a hypnotherapist. That every night as I go to bed, I automatically go through theta for a period of time. If I'm wearing earphones and I'm playing what are called, these self-help programs or whatever they are, if I play one of these programs, my conscious mind will not be listening to the program, but my subconscious will. If I repeat this for a number of nights, my subconscious will rewrite its basic programs. And that way I can put a new program of what's my image. My image is I am thin. This is my weight. This is a picture. This helps get the system. This is what I am looking for. So the subconscious mind puts that image in, and then automatically, 95% of the day, The subconscious mind's mission is to manifest that image. But if you don't have that image in your subconscious, it will only manifest whatever image is in there. And I say, yeah, but the biggest image about weight is there were threats or things that were upsetting you in that first 7 years that gave your mind the idea that if I did have this weight, I would be safe. And therefore, that is the habit program that will play the rest of your life until you change the habit. Hypnosis, it's called auto-hypnosis, self-hypnosis, is one of the ways of installing new programs, number one. But then you say, wait, but that theta hypnosis phase of my development lasted until age 7. But I still learned habits after age 7. I know how to drive the car. I know the multiplication table. I know how to do this and that. These are automatic. I say, well, how'd you learn them after age 7? I go, habituation. I repeated the process over and over and over. I'll give you a simple example. We learn the alphabet A to Z, okay? And I go, how did you learn that? I go, well, I started a little bit at a time. A, B, C, D, oops, E, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, okay. And I repeated. How many times did you repeat it? I mean, you can go back. You didn't learn it in one repeat. You had to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. But guess what? The time you got to Z was done. You never had to repeat it again. Right now, it's a complete habit in your life. I can ask you, what letter comes after this letter? And you can, I got it, okay? So after age 7, new programs are installed.
Thousands.
By habituation. There's a phrase that you and your community might be familiar with called fake it till you make it. And the idea is this. You keep telling yourself habitually, I am this weight. I weigh 115 pounds. I weigh 115 pounds. It's like, you don't weigh 115 pounds, you weigh 180 pounds. I go, I'm telling myself I weigh 115 pounds. I'm repeating
So you make it.
Every day I repeat it. The mind at some point says, yeah, but you're 180, you're not 115. But there's a point where the repetition is so great, the mind says, I'm supposed to be 115. Guess what? I have to shed all this weight to get down. Is this a conscious decision? Absolutely not. That's the beautiful part about it. Once the program is in there, it will automatically get you there. But if you don't have the program in there, you won't get there. As simple as that. So fake it till you make it says, I am a happy person. You might be the most miserable person in the world. But every day you say, I'm a happy person. I am a happy person. There's a point where the habit, the habituation, will install into your program, I am a happy person. But then let's put a box around this, a box with bold print. The function of the mind is to make reality out of the program. If I have a program that says I'm supposed to be 115 and I'm 180, I don't have to consciously work on it. The subconscious mind is like, holy crap, we're out of zone here. We got to lose this weight. I'm not talking to Bruce in his head. I'm just going to create the behavior. Bruce is going to lose weight. Why? Because it's not matching the program. And then the issues are, oh my God, our lives are created by our consciousness. I go, yeah, but there's 2 levels of that. The programming part and the creative part. 95% of our life is not coming from the creative part. It is coming strictly from the program part. The problem, as we just mentioned, is, so what if my conscious mind says I want to be 115 and my body, subconscious mind says I'm 180? And the answer is, you got to struggle. And if you fight really hard, you might be able to get to 115. But the moment you let go of that struggle, the system will preset itself back and you'll be back to 180 again. Frustrating as anything in the world can be. Why? Because it's like my intention, 115, I worked on this. Look, I'm so close. And I let go and I'm right back where I started again. And the idea is, how do you accommodate that? Mainly frustration, anger with self. What the hell is wrong with you, Lipton? You can't lose the weight, but you're stupid. Now you're mad at yourself, and you're going to start talking to yourself in very negative ways. I say, well, who are you talking to? And you say, well, I'm talking to the subconscious because the subconscious caused the problem. I go, well, here's a problem. There's nobody in the subconscious. It's a recording device. I say, using the old model, tape recorder. Let's say tape recorder's playing a program. You say, I don't like the program. So I say, okay, tell the tape recorder you don't like it. So you go up to the tape recorder and say, I don't like this program, change the program. Tape recorder's still playing the program. I said, no, I told you I don't like this program. Play a different program. I say, how much talking to the tape player will it take before the program changes? The answer is, you can talk till you're blue in the face. You'll never change the program. I say, you want to change the program? Push the record button. We already talked about one record button, hypnosis. And so you can do subliminal programming with earphones on. That's one way. Number two, we mentioned was I can change the program through habituation. In other words, I must habituate a new belief system, repeat it consistently and repeatedly and faking it till I make it, until the program is installed. And once the program is installed, I'm done. Okay? So those are the two primary ways. With the acknowledgement that if there's nobody in the subconscious, yelling at yourself, getting upset with yourself, makes things worse. I'll tell you why. The subconscious is like a precocious 5-year-old. You want a 5-year-old to change the behavior? You can do it in two ways. You can yell at them and traumatize them, or you can encourage them in a positive way. When we are traumatizing ourselves with self-talk, you are only making the situation worse because that pisses off the 5-year-old. And that 5-year-old is not going to respond in a positive way to anger and yelling like that. So the whole idea is, oh my God, don't be upset with yourself because it's just a machine. And you want to change the program. Now, if you understand it's a machine and it has a program, then you say, how do I change it? A, auto-hypnosis, self-hypnosis. B, habituation.
Yes.
Now, both these take a bit of time because you're rewriting a habit. It's time to rewrite a habit, okay? And here's the marvelous, God bless the miracle of something called energy psychology. Energy psychology is a whole bunch of new healing modalities. And energy psychology is actually engaging a process like super learning to put a new program in. I said, what's super learning? I said, maybe you've seen somebody in a bookstore open up a book and then read the book as fast as they can move their finger down the page. Turn the page, turn the page. That's how fast they're reading it. That's super learning. I said, what if I can engage super learning? Can I download a program fast? I smile with delight because with these energy psychology modalities, you can change programs in 10 minutes or less. And these are very critical, but each one, there's many different varieties, and they all essentially engage a super learning process where a new belief can be installed in 5 or 10 minutes. Okay? It's interesting because what the old phrase is, necessity is the mother of invention. We have a necessity to take control of our lives right now because the world is spinning out of control. And if we don't take control of our own lives, so nature said, look, habituation, hypnosis, time consuming. We don't have time. Let's create a new modality, energy psychology. I have on my website, very simple, brucelipton.com. It's very simple. Under resources on that website, I have from 20 to 30 different energy psychology modalities. All of them work for the individual who likes how it works. Some of them, I don't like that one. May not be as good for you as, oh, this one sounds interesting. Pick one that sounds interesting. And the idea is you can engage these processes and say, my weight is 115 pounds. I weigh 115. I have a visual picture of it. I have an oral, I weigh 115. Visual, see me as thin. Visual, oral. When you start putting that in and it becomes a program, then the subconscious mind has a very important job. It's supposed to manifest coherence between your belief and your reality. And if there's no coherence, I say, I want to be 115, I'm way 180, then the subconscious mind goes, oh, well, then we better lose this weight. It doesn't even involve consciousness. It has nothing to do with you. It will do it automatically. That's the great part about it. It's not every day, it's an exercise. It's like diet's a pain in the ass if you have to engage it every day with the forcefulness of conscious energy. But if you could just walk through your day and do everything unconsciously, you're not at the refrigerator anymore. Unconsciously, it alters the metabolism. This is really important. When people want to lose weight, and the system does not want you to lose weight because it's fear. It says, if I lose this, I'm vulnerable. Subconscious is trying to protect your ass. This voice like, no, don't lose this weight. You know what? You can even change your metabolism. I eat less, metabolism goes down, says I use less. all of a sudden says, Jesus, I'm eating a lot less and I'm not losing any weight. And I go, biology is just trying to compensate, and it will adjust your metabolism and you will struggle. And it's like, oh my God, everything you're struggling against is because the subconscious mind is resisting and doing everything in its power to manifest its program. So all those individuals out there that struggle and struggle and struggle, and I go, that's because your conscious mind is trying to override a program that's running 95% of the day. You want to simplify it? Change the program. Don't put any effort into it anymore, and it will automatically bring you down to the right weight that is preset. So this is where we need to go. We need to let go of the frustration. We need to let go of the anger, because who are you getting mad at? There's no entity you're getting mad at. You're getting mad at a program. I go, well, you can get mad at a program, but it doesn't change a program.
And it's a program to protect you.
Absolutely. That's why the resistance.
Yes.
Because I could die if I get thin. That's what the subconscious mind's got a picture of, you dying. And it's going to hold on for dear life. Is that I don't want to die. I'm going to stay heavy. I know you're not feeding me, but guess what? I'll reduce my metabolism so I can maintain my weight without using this energy.
And that's the critical part for people to understand, is that our subconscious mind has the ability to modify your hormones, to modify your neurotransmitter.
Everything physiological. Everything. Your physiology and everything in your body is controlled by the subconscious mind, with the conscious mind being able to make a directive if it agrees with the program in the subconscious mind. But if the conscious mind says, I want to be thin, and the subconscious mind said, you will die if you're thin, I know who's going to win that battle right away, subconscious, because it's already operating 95% of the time anyway. So you're already in a struggle. The guilt, the shame, and all that other stuff comes in and says, oh, I'm responsible for this. I go, no, the program is responsible for this. So if you want to get even, then change the program. Don't frustrate, irritate, because guess what? The more irritation, the more food will go in.
Absolutely. That's when emotional eating comes in, right? Because you suffer, you will go to food to suit yourself, and then you embark in that vicious circle and actually manifest your subconscious mind's belief, which is to be heavy. And that's a full circle back to where we started at the beginning of this interview, where we said we actually manifest our health. We are empowered to our health by exactly what we just explained in the last 55 minutes.
I mean, you can talk about weight, and I can say cancer.
Yes.
Cancer is caused by genes. It's like less than 10% of cancer has any hereditary connection. 90% of cancer has no hereditary connection. That means that these people don't carry cancer genes, which don't exist, actually. It's just a belief. But the fact is this. The cancer is derived from disharmony in the world with the program in the subconscious. And the anger that builds up from your subconscious not being able to express itself in the world leads to a self-destruction and can create cancer.
Yeah, and that's when the whole metabolism of the body and the physiology of the body will actually self-destruct and create cancer. Am I correct to say this?
100%. That's why most cancer has nothing to do with genetics. It has to do with anger. Anger of what? I'm not being able to express myself. And I'm holding this anger. I go, yeah, but you can't hold anger. Anger is evil. You're holding a poison. Anger is a psychological poison. You might as well take strychnine. You want strychnine. But the idea is it's a poison to the system. Okay? And so the issue is we have to get rid of this anger idea. We have to get rid of the shame, guilt, blame, victim. It's like, this is not. If you do that, you're not going to deal with the issue. If I blame somebody over there, it's like, no, I'm not dealing with the issue, which is here. And the issue is right there. And it's not right here. It's right here in the back.
Yeah, and the subconscious mind.
Yeah. And therefore, if you want control, then you have to deal with what's controlling. And the answer is 95% of the day, subconscious. So if you want to change that, then you have to change subconscious, not conscious. Conscious has the intention already. But the intention is not a program. Intention is the moment you think about it. The little sticky note on the refrigerator says, don't eat the donut in here.
But that's the whole theory of the willpower, right? Which doesn't exist because the willpower fights against your subconscious mind 95% of the time.
Right. The willpower is 5%.
Yes.
It cannot beat a program running 95%. So you are stressing with willpower against something that's a brick wall. You're not going to get through this brick wall. You have to disassemble the brick wall, then you're going to get through it. And the disassembling is changing the bricks, the patterns, the programs. And you can change them, but you have to understand the only way to change them is the way the subconscious learns. It's not the conscious.
Yeah.
Conscious, as I said, learns in any way. But subconscious only learns in three primary ways: hypnosis, habituation, and the use of energy psychology. You want to change the program? Pick one of those, because anything other than that is not really very effective.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Dr.
Bruce,
Lipton,
Bruce,
but
don't tell
thank
me.
you, Bruce. Okay, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce, for your time. And this teaching, I know, will change a lot of lives in my community. And I am very grateful for you taking that hour of your time in your life and sharing it with us. So thank you for the teaching
I
today.
am so grateful to you, dear Stephanie, because I love to provide this information to empower people. Because as people empower themselves and they become happy in their lives, and happiness becomes what the world is experiencing rather than the frustration, anger, and threats that are coming from everywhere. So in any way to reduce that. And this is why I so appreciate this opportunity to speak with you and your community, because let's help people. Let's get happy.
Yeah. And it's going to help, because once we understand the teaching, we can apply it to our desire, which is controlling our craving and our weight. But it's a ripple effect throughout your entire life, community, environment, family, friends. Everything will get affected by that choice you've made.
Absolutely. And that heaven on earth is possible. And people do it all the time.
Absolutely.
But it didn't happen by accident. It happened by an intention. And then to engage that intention requires an understanding of how does my intention become a program? And then once you understand that, then God bless us, because all we have to do now is look at our lives, the things that we don't like, the way they unfold says, well, they didn't unfold because of the outside. They unfolded because of the way we did it on the inside. Everyone says, oh, let's change the world out there. I go, no. Before you change the world out there, change the world in here. And it sounds like, that's like, new biology, new age. Yeah. And I go, no, look, we'll close with this because this is an important law. Quantum physics is the most validated of all sciences on this planet, beyond every other one. It's the most truthful science on this planet. And let me emphasize this. The foundational principle in quantum physics is that consciousness is creating the world in our experiences. That's the bottom line. Consciousness is involving the unfolding of the cosmos. Stephen Hawking even wrote a paper about how human consciousness is affecting cosmology. It affects everything, okay? And so the idea that we create our world through consciousness, while we just talked about it in the biological realm, it's even more fundamental than that, because it's in physics. Physics has totally recognized, quantum physics, is that this is a creation, and this is a collective creation for all of us. We're collectively creating this right now. Yeah. And if you want to change anything in creation, you start by changing the consciousness, because that's the source of it. See, so we're back to the same biology. You want to change your way, you better change the program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you
for being with us today. And I hope to have you again so we can talk about the whole energy medicine and how our biology manifests energy, because that's a whole other topic, but I think it's going to come to later. But thank you very much for being here today.
I am so in appreciation of this opportunity, Stephanie, and honored to be here with you. And I hope that at least some of the words that we said today will encourage people to seek a healthier, happier path.
Absolutely.
To what they want in this life, rather than fighting with anger, frustration, and just being terribly upset. We don't need to do that.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
There you have it. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, hope that it serves you and that it's going to help you move forward. And I'm so glad you stuck around right to the end and you're still here with me. Now, if you did learn something and enjoy the show, a few things you can do to help me share this very important message. Share this episode right now from the device you're listening to, or go to my website and access the show note at stephaniedodze.com/063 and share the show notes on Facebook, on Instagram, or via email to somebody that needs to hear this message. Or you can also leave a review on iTunes via my website, stephaniedodze.com/review. As I said before, reviews are like fuel to me. So be sure to give me some feedback so I can give you what you need and get better. Now, we've got some great show coming up for you. In episode 65 of the Beyond the Food show, we have a mentor to me, somebody that has taught me a lot and I know has reached a lot of you out there. Mr. Sean Croxton is going to come and talk to us about his new passion, which is mindset. So this is a perfect follow-up to this episode, which talked about the whole subconscious mind. The next piece is the actual tool in understanding how mindset work with Sean Croxton. Again, I'm so glad that you were able to be with us and Dr. Lipton today. And I thank you and love you, and we'll see you on the next episode. If this is your first time here, then welcome. I'm happy to have found you and that you found me. We do the Beyond the Food show every Sunday and Thursday. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you get every episode. If you've enjoyed the show and believe that someone else would benefit from this experience, please share. It would help me spread the message and help thousands more. If you have a minute and could take a moment to review the show on iTunes with an honest review, I would absolutely appreciate it. Thank you again, and looking forward to serving you in the next episode.